Greetings. I want to encourage the singles out there who have been waiting patiently on God. And yes, we know, we've heard it before. We understand that waiting does not mean that you're just sitting there just waiting for something great to just happen. But waiting is active, meaning that you are doing things to better yourself in life and things like that. So I'm not saying that you're just sitting there waiting for somebody to knock on the door. But I want to encourage you not to quit, not to give up. I want to encourage you to keep the faith. Keep the faith in what? Keep the faith in God, that God has not forgotten about you, that God has not forsaken you, that whatever you believe that God has promised you or what you desire, that God can still and will still bring it to pass. So don't think for 1 minute that, hey, here's this dude sitting on the couch trying to tell me about waiting on God. What does he know about waiting? You think that I don't understand what it means to wait? To be honest with you, I'm sure that sitting in the seat right here talking to you is someone who have been waiting probably more or longer than 80% of the people who are watching this video in terms of abstinence. And you think that I don't understand what it means to go to bed every night with an empty bed, just myself in that bed, and not want someone to comfort me, not want someone to encourage me. You think that I don't want somebody in my life to help me through my most difficult times when there ain't nobody else to talk to but God and maybe some family? Well, no, you're mistaken if you think that I cannot identify, because I can. However, my rest is in God. I refuse to give up. I refuse to throw in the towel. I refuse to believe that just because I've reached a certain age that the blessing still cannot come. Now here's the difficulty. The difficulty is between that which you believe God has told you or the promise and the manifestation. Because between that can be a whole bunch of frustration and anxieties and what have you. So I'm here today to get you to release those anxieties that you may be having. In other words, that place between the two is a critical time, because that's the time that we make some of the most critical mistakes, that we jump out on our own, that we do it ourselves, that we end up in dead-end relationship, that we end up in abusive relationship, that we end up wasting a whole lot of time. So I'm here to encourage you to stop wasting time. I cannot be remiss without giving you at least one scripture, and it's one that we always talk about. Psalms 37 verse 4, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thy heart. That's awesome, and I love that scripture because it says, and it speaks volumes, it says delight thyself in the Lord. In other words, put God first place, make God your first love. Delight yourself, get caught up, get raptured in God. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires, the thing that you want, the thing that you hope for, your petition, your request to God. If it's for a mate, then God says that I'll give you the thing that you desire. But it says delight thyself also. So that means that if it says also, we must go back to what came before also, which is, I think, one of the most critical verses, and that is verse 3. Now watch this, what it says in verse 3. Psalms 37 verse 3 says, trust in the Lord and do good, and so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily shalt thou be fed. So watch this, trust in the Lord. In other words, put your confidence in the Lord, not in you, not in your bank account, not in the house that you live in, not in the car that you drive, not in the family that you grew up in, not your pedigree. Put your trust in the Lord and do good. In other words, be a person of moral and good character. Be fair and be honest. And guess what? So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily shalt thou be fed. In other words, at that point, every need that you have, and I say need or necessity, God will make sure he take care of. I love verse 4 because it's transition from need to desire. So now if you put God first, if you trust in God, if you live a moral and a good character life, one that is recommended, not only recommended, but is required of God, and then you get to the next verse, and then it says, guess what it says? Then I will give you, what's what? The desires of your heart. So this morning, whenever you might be checking out this video, I just want you to be confident of this very thing. Be confident that whatever God promised you, that God would bring to pass. If you desire a mate, then don't give up. So whether you're 21 or 25 or 30 or 35, or you just reached 40 and 45 has passed you by, and you reach 50 years old and you feel like it's time to throw in the towel, I may as well just be by myself for the rest of my life. I want to encourage you that you don't have to. Continue to trust in the Lord. Do good. Delight yourself in him and watch him give you the desires of your heart. Guess what? It's not over until what? You say it right. God says it's over. God bless.